Afternoon, Bill.
Well, hello, Mark. This is our second podcast today.
It is, and very interesting discussion with Greg O'Shea from the Quest Apartments.
Yeah, the new Quest going up in the centre of Geelong.
In Gillingham Street.
Yeah, brand new building. And, of course, what a time to start an accommodation or hotel or apartments they are in Geelong with all the things that are happening here in the future.
Absolutely. So tell us, who's the next guest today?
Well, we have he's not a famous guest. He's famous in my eyes because he's on the judging panel with you and I for the Geelong Business Awards. And the reason he's on that is that he is also, Giovanni, is also in the Hall of Fame for the Geelong Business Awards and has won, I think, 3 or 4. But I'm really excited to hear his story because I know a little bit about it, and this guy is really doing well and has got a business that is so needed in our community. It's amazing. So welcome, Giovanni.
Thank you, Bill, for the introduction. Honoured to be here with you and Mark.
Thank you. So, Giovanni, we know you've got a slight accent. So where did you go to primary school? Where was the early school years?
Oh, Mark, I went to a primary school called Gianni Rodari in Cavriago, which is the little town I grew up in, and I was born in Montecchio Emilia, which is another little town in Reggio Emilia, central north of Italy.
Nice place.
Yeah, I love it.
And then, so what was your schooling like? So you left primary school. What did you? High school, university? Where did you?
Yeah, so I grew up effectively in Cavriago, in Reggio Emilia, this little town, until the age of 22, 23, really. So I had all my friends, and we used to catch up almost every day. Go to the piazza, have a Coca-Cola, or go around on a bicycle and all of that. And so.
And so what was your first job then while you were there? Did you have a small job while you were working there?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, when I was in high school, actually, in summertime, I used to go to. I used to be a mechanic. I used to work as a mechanic in a local little factory. So I did 3 months every summer. Earning a little bit of a wage, and that's sort of how I got into the workforce. I suppose working hard and trying to pay your bills, and somehow. But I used to live with my parents all the time, and they helped me a lot in that sense. But
did that lead you on to doing your engineering degree?
Yeah, pretty much it. Yeah, then I moved into engineering. So I graduated. I had a master in engineering management in University of Modena Reggio Emilia. Before actually I graduated, I had my first turning point of my life. 2005. My first trip to the US by myself, because I found out back then that my father had 3 cousins in New Jersey. So I said, wow, I really want to go there and visit them, and I meet my cousins and everything. And I thought I could speak a little bit of English. Little did I know that when I went there, I just could not have a conversation. I said 2005. It was so embarrassing. I couldn't communicate with anybody. But my cousins there, his name is Tony. He still is a successful entrepreneur. He's got a deli and a supermarket in New Jersey in Chestnut Hill. It's called actually Chestnut Hill Supermarket, and he spoke to me in a way that really touched my heart and inspired me to be, to become the best I can possibly be, to live the American dream. And in order to do that, first of all, you needed to learn English, right? And then secondly, you need to try to do something new, learn new skills, open your business. And, from that very first trip in the US, when I came back to Italy, I was in a row. I was so focused and determined to really, get back to ground zero and self-taught myself English.
Oh, wow.
So I started, purchasing, English grammar books and read all of that and did all the exercise and all of that. And then I went into listening to podcasts, motivational speakers like the Anthony Robbins of the world or the Brian Tracy, reading books. I became such a ferocious reader and just fascinated into this personal development, world. And then anyway, long story short, I graduated and somehow I managed. So I had a goal to be able to work overseas. Back then in Italy, it was still a ride, but I could already sense a sense of, the work culture is really poor, very, very backwards. Work culture in Italy, unfortunately, is really, really backwards. Really old school leadership. And if you think of Hitler and Mussolini, that's what it is. In Italy, we speak loudly. Very high volume, right?
Yep.
There's no such thing. Been harassment or anything like that. It doesn't exist, right? So growing up in that environment, and so I experienced what it's like to run a company so badly, and the effect that has on employees, right? And because of all of that, I was even more motivated and inspired to make it big and go overseas and try something new. Just get out of Italy, right? I just didn't want to end up with a job, a 9 to 5, and have a literally $2,000 monthly salary, renting an apartment and all this sort of stuff. My uncle, my cousin, instilled that.
It's good.
The seed in me.
Yep.
That I wanted to do something bigger in life.
So what was the thing that tipped you over to say, I'm packing my bags, I'm getting out of here, and how did you end up in Australia?
That's a good question. So what I did, after I graduated my master, I became a project manager for an entire organization working in the oil and gas industry, installing refineries, reactors in the oil and gas industry. And I worked 1 year in Norway and 1 year in North Africa.
Wow.
Right? So imagine, fresh out of uni, right? New project manager, working in those areas with a bunch of operators, so I was being bullied every single day. My direct line of manager was a senior project manager. He was just ridiculing me every day in front of all the employees, and operators, because it felt threatened. This is a new guy fresh out of uni, and besides that, I just got back from the US, and I had such a high level of energy and motivation to make it big, right?
You were full of Anthony Robbins
That's
motivational tapes.
And these guys, I don't know about this guy Giovanni here, new kid in the block. I need to stop him somehow, and that's exactly what I ended up, crying and all of that. It was awful, but I had a mission, and whilst everybody, after work, after 7, 8 p.m., literally we're living in containers.
Yep.
All the operators drinking beers and and smoking and stuff like that. I went back to my room and I had a mission. I was studying the GMAT to get into an MBA business school. Right. I had a vision. I wanted to go to America and all of that stuff. That's what I was doing, and again that gave me confidence. And then somehow I had. Actually, I got fired. That's the reality, because I was, I got fired.
Yep.
And after that, I said, what am I going to do? And then I joined a friend, and we went to a trip to Malaysia. And then after that, I went to Australia as a backpacker. That's how I started. So I came to Australia in 2011 as a backpacker after 2 years of working as a project manager overseas. And had a little bit tough the first couple of months. I had to sustain myself. I didn't have a lot of money in my bank account, very skinny bank account. And so for the love of God, I could not get a job. No, I applied for the entire SICK database. That's a true story. And I just got a couple of interviews, and I used to get told, you have an accent. I'm not sure if my client will like you, or you don't have any local experience. And I thought to myself, I worked 1 year in Africa, 1 year in Norway, got master degree. I worked in the US and this and that. None of that matters unless you have Melbourne work experience, like literally working in the backyard of these guys, right? And so I got discriminated and all of that. And what happened then? First job I got in Australia was working as a waiter in Lygon Street, right? Of course, as you would.
With a master's in.
Oh yeah, well that's.
You're selling good pizzas though.
Look, let me tell
right?
you. So that's how I started my first job in Australia. I was working in Lygon Street, a place called Via Veneto in Lygon Street. $13 cash in hand.
Yep. That's
right.
The bad old days. Yep.
That's it. Cash in hand, $13 and some tips here and there. And after that, I I got another job in sales. That's my first time I was exposed to the sales world.
Yeah.
And I got a job as a doorman, as a salesman selling Optus contracts door to door.
Okay. Yep.
So residential door to door selling Optus contracts. Imagine me door knocking these Aussie, lunchtime or whatnot, and as I opened the door, I got everything right. But I did manage to sort of sell some Optus contracts. It was interesting, and I did that for another couple of months. It was awful, strict commissions. And all
Hard
my
work.
savings were drying up.
Hard work.
Strict commissions. But that the door to door selling, it was a blessing because it really exposed me to the world of communication, the world of persuasion, the resilience, setbacks, and all of that, and it really taught me a lot. I must say, I did that for a couple of months until I happened to knock on the right door. Now, the person that opened the door knew an Italian immigration lawyer in Lagon Street in Carlton, Joseph Italiano. Said, look, I'll give you his number, talk to him and see what he can do for you, because I think you have an interesting story. So, yeah, sure. I call him up and say, hey, I'm Giovanni, I'm here, blah, blah, that's what I do. And, all right, send me your resume and see what I can do for you. Yeah, sure. I'll send him my 10,000 resume, if that's an English word, right? Yeah. And I say, yeah, whatever. And then, sure enough, I got a call after a week from tribe of farmers. They have a farm in Bacchus Marsh. They harvest salad. They cut the salad, and wash it, package it, and ship and dispatch it to Coles and Woolworth. So I got a job there with sponsorship as a logistics manager.
Wow.
In Bacchus Marsh. So yeah, packing my bag and go to Bacchus Marsh, living in Malton. So that's what I did. I did that for a year until guess what? They changed my position. Somehow I got moved to another production, line and whatnot. And with that, my sponsorship fell through because they initially sponsored me as a logistics manager, and now they put me in production. So no more visa. Oh. And like my dream was completely smashed, and I was like, oh my god, what am I going to do there, and so forth. And at the time I was with my now wife Giselle, so we were talking, and so that's how we started the journey of doing a spouse visa to get me the foot in the door, so to speak, and have a proper a legal working visa. Once I got that, I managed to get into solar industry. So I worked for a wholesaler, a German wholesaler. And then after that, after 2 years about that, I randomly applied for a job in aged care as an IT consultant and business development manager, being a project manager and selling clinical management systems for nursing homes. So it was my first time I was exposing to the aged care world. and I fell in love with that. It was amazing. I mean, I could see there's so much room for improvements, to make aged care better, to give more dignity to our aging population. Which being an Italian, for me, seniors are, I pay a lot of respect for seniors. I mean, we grew up with loving our grandparents, so much, and because they have so much to give, and I realized here in Australia that. Seniors sometimes are kind of left on their own. Families are busier. You hear the sandwich generation, where they need to look after their own kids, and then they have their parents as well to look after. But the reality is that they have, they're sort of stuck in between, and that's how the parents end up being in nursing homes.
So was that what leapfrogged you to where you are today, sitting here in Geelong, running an extremely successful, what do you call it, a healthcare business, I guess? And I understand you've got nearly 300 people working for you. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. A little bit more people than that, but yeah.
So that initial catalyst to get you into where you are today was because of that job you had in healthcare.
Correct. Randomly applied for a job in aged care.
So
I got that job.
Just go back slightly. You must be an incredibly resilient man. How did you put up with all the things you've put up with? You were here on your own for a great percentage of the time, but you must be a very resilient person. How did you deal with that?
Yeah, I think the resilience is probably my strength, Mark, I would say. It was very tough. There's no denial about that. A lot of work on myself, reflection, reading books, meditation, a lot of that self-learning and having clear goals to work towards. Always have that vision that push you towards the future, the ideal future that you want, and at the same time having that negative history to help you propel once again moving forward. So I leveraged a lot of that negative stuff to get me out of that state towards a better future.
Did you ever think, I'm going to go back home to mum and dad out of here?
Absolutely, every single day. Okay. So much so that my father used to call. My father also, lieutenant in the military, really old school Italian from south of Italy. Forget about it. Always to go, what are you doing there, working as a waiter from an engineering? What are you come back here? What are you doing there, selling Optus contract? And I was getting discouraged from my families every single day. Wow. And all of that. So. But that was my motivation, my driving force
to do well,
to push me again towards the vision I had in mind. So having that really clear in my mind helps a lot. When you feel that you have a sense of growth, that you're growing as a person, that you're learning new things, you're having rich experience in life, that makes you, your self-confidence grows.
Well, Giovanni, just on that point, you're talking about having a vision and learning. Mark and I are running a workshop here next week in Geelong for the Geelong Small Business Festival, and it's about building a better business. And we're going back to basics. We're not sort of pulling the textbook out and saying, you've got to use this method, you use that method and all the rest of it. No, we're going back to, where do you see yourself in the future?
What's your vision?
Right, and we want you to be able to articulate that, and then around that are all the other things. The persistence, the never give up. Importantly, the continuous learning. And because what did COVID teach us? COVID has taught us now in 2003, a lot of the stuff we did prior to COVID doesn't work anymore. So, and with AI, ChatGPT, you've got to keep learning. I'm at the age where my age is what I call has a 7 in front of it plus GST, right? And I'm learning all the time and I'm doing all sorts of things. So I can understand where you're coming from. But let's go back now to the first day you started in business with Home Instead, and that's the name of your business.
Yes.
Describe that first day starting a new business.
So, very good. Well, just to wrap up my background there, and I've worked in aged care as a consultant for about 4 years. So I've got to know the industry really well as a business consultant, right? Implementing projects to optimize operations, funding, clinical systems. I had that really clear in my mind how to make it better. And I saw a gap in the market for people that they're still well enough to stay at home, but they just need a little bit of help. Mm-hmm. And suddenly, the last place you want to be in life is in an aged care facility right now, right? I saw a vision. I saw something that compelled me and said, look, and I always want to run my own business and to prove a point that there's a better way to treat people. So I had that in me. So I was talking with Giselle, I was living in Latona, walking around the beach, and Giselle and I were talking, well, wouldn't it be nice if we have our own business? Well, what should we do? I don't know. But yeah, it would be so good to contribute, to really give back to the community, something really meaningful. And we were talking and just chatting along and things like that. The following day, Giselle showed me an ad on LinkedIn. Hey, look at that. There's an opportunity here to purchase a franchise in Geelong, right? That's where their parents are from. Would you look into that? And the moment I looked at the ad on LinkedIn, right, I just looked at the first paragraph and the investment and all of that. I can do this. This is me. This is exactly what we need right now, right? And it's funny because the week before that conversation, I was fired. I was fired from the company I used to be a business consultant.
Fired again?
Man, I can tell you, I got not made around, fired.
Yeah. Yep.
Over 5 times in my life, right?
You're a troublemaker. That's your problem.
Look, let's leave it at that. So, and so yes, perfect. So the research and all of that, and anyway, we applied, we went through the process, because purchasing a franchise is not like, it's just like getting an executive job. They don't give the franchise to anyone. The rights are very well protected.
Yep.
You need to show that you got the financial capacity. Being able to lead people, grow a business. And the brand it is a US based. Is the worst. It was the biggest home care business in the world. Home Instead is a global brand, second to no one in the aged care space. So they're very, very, very selective in who they picked. Long story short, went through the application, and then we went to this discovery day to meet the founders of Home Instead Australia. We went through all of that, and and it was asking questions and getting to know us, and I didn't have a single day of managing people. Right, I never managed people. I never ran a business. Right, I had no idea of how to run a business. I never did it. I just had a couple of investment properties. That's about it. But the founder, Martin and Sarah, who founded Home Instead Australia, saw something in me, and I'll always be grateful to these people, because finally someone, somewhere out of nowhere, saw something in you.
That's cool.
And it gave you the opportunity.
Yep.
Hey man, did I run with it? I was so blessed to be given the opportunity, and every single day since I opened the business. Now I opened the business in Parkington Street, in a 3x3 office, literally, with Giselle helping me out with the admin work, and she was a pharmacist at the time, so it was just me, but she was helping me in the background, setting up, all the paperwork and all of this and that, and I still remember every single day I felt like I was out there in the jungle, trying to bring bread for the family. That's how I was so driven and so motivated to really make this business a success. And so 2018, started in June 2018. Back then, I had no branding visibility. Geelong, very, community-based. And yes, there's a couple of offices in Melbourne, but Geelong is brand new, started from zero, literally. So I went around, door knocking, pharmacies, introducing myself, hospitals, aged care facilities. Literally, that's how I started, door knocking, right? Trying to make appointment over the phone. I hired and recruited the first 4 caregivers, right? 2 of which are still with us these days. Wow. I'm so proud of that. Yep. So, I used to run training myself, all of that. And first client came in, yes, let's put it in a scheduling system and all of that. And, come payroll time, invoicing. Yeah, okay, this is the manual, this is how you do it. And that's how I started. And the first feedback I received from this client actually was a broker, another aged care facility, brokering services to me to deliver the care. She called me and she said, Giovanni, the caregiver you sent me, she's a godsend. She's amazing. She's so caring, so passionate. What did you do? Like, we have very, very good training at Home Instead, right? Back then it was only 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
Fake it until you make it, so to speak, right? But I picked the right people. I picked people that had that vision, that shared sense of purpose with us, to enhance the lives of aging Australians and their families, and I hope that my training was inspirational as well to connect with the people so that they do the right things when they are on their own. So that's positive feedback started to flow in like there was no tomorrow. And that's how I built it. Reputation, spreading out the good word. One broker, one aged care organization talking to the other, sending us more clients. At the same time, was recruiting more caregivers because, the more clients you have, the more people you need. So I hired another four group of people. I had 8 caregivers at the time, and most of them didn't even have enough hours. So I lost 5. So back to square one, then I recruited another 4 and get more clients, all of that by myself until I recruited the first admin assistant. She only lasted 3 weeks with me. You can imagine a 3x3 office with someone like me trying to get things done in there.
Mark, I can imagine that here, sitting here talking to Giovanni or listening to him. He's Typical Italian. The hands are all over the place. He's nearly knocked 2 glasses of water off the table.
But you've got to love his passion.
He's so
passion is
passionate.
fantastic.
And your resilience is just absolutely amazing. And so just a quick little snapshot of your business today.
Very good, Bill. Well, nowadays some numbers. We deliver about 20,000 hours of care every single month to our most vulnerable, and I'm incredibly proud of that. That's the level of impact we have. We have about 1,000 clients, active clients in our books that we care day in and day out. We have an office team of about 55 equivalent full-time staff in the office and about 400 caregivers with a turnover about $20 million this year.
Amazing.
Excellent.
Absolutely amazing.
Now, so when you stop for a breath, right?
Yeah, and I have a sip of water.
Yeah. How do you relax? Or what do you do outside of work? Or is there no outside of work?
Look, that's a good point. And the irony of all of that, Bill and Mark, and you might have an idea of that, but I feel that the bigger the team becomes, the better structure you put in place, and then all of a sudden you can form a leadership team. You can form, team leaders, pillars leaders, and believe it or not, the business is going on its own. I approve payroll, and I make decisions, yes, every day, and based on budgets, approve headcounts and all this sort of stuff. But I'm not hands-on.
Well, you're a classic case of the old Michael Gerber theory, is that you are working on everything and you're not working in it anymore. So what is your leadership? We always like to ask people what their leadership style is. You've got, and just before you can answer that, it's all about systems and processes, isn't it? That's the glue that keeps it all together. So what do you think your leadership style is like?
Yeah, and also I should have said also I graduated from, I have an MBA from Deakin University as well in 2017. So that helped me again put it all together. Also a health informatician. I have a certificate of that, and I'm still studying, still learning. And my leadership style is all about empowering people. Again, my personal why I get up every morning. Mm-hmm. I want to inspire people to become the best they can possibly be, which is very much aligned to enhance the lives of aging Australians and their families. So to me, it's all about empowerment, right? I see through people. I give people a go. 80% of my staff in my office had no experience with aged care. Yet, my franchise is the most successful business in entire homestead history in Australia. We're the fastest growing and largest. The second larger one is half my size, just to give you a perspective of where we are in Geelong. And and trusting people, empowering them, giving them the education, the training, the resources to then let them flourish. And that's my privilege. And I hear stories every single day of people coming to me, almost in tears, thanking me for entrusting them, the job as a caregiver, which is incredibly fulfilling. People that haven't never done it professionally, but you see through things, they have life experience. You give people a go, and then you give them the education and the system that by the way, Giselle and I built in Geelong. We made it our own. Whilst we are a franchise, but 90% of the stuff, it came from us. We developed our own manuals, our own processes, our own structures. Being an engineer, that's sort of my background, logistically, right? Organizing services, optimizing rosters, and all of that stuff. All that came together beautifully in what we do at Home Instead.
So for some of the people listening, what does Home Instead do? What are some of the services you offer?
So Home Instead, we specialize in in-home care services for seniors. So in essence, we recruit and train caregivers to provide services in people's homes to enable them to remain at home as long as possible and as safely as possible.
So is that dressing them or
yeah,
cooking?
Anywhere from domestic assistance to personal care. Some people might need a bit of help with the showering, dressing, grooming.
Yep.
Some people have very high care needs, so they might need a hoisting as well.
Yep. Okay.
So we have hoist equipments that we can help people moving from bed to a wheelchair and whatnot. I also launched another side of the business. Now we also offer gardening services. So I recruited a gardening specialist to really, again, recruit and train gardeners. He knows what he's doing. I didn't know what I was doing.
That's
right. We used to do gardening.
Yep.
And we start to get negative feedback every day. I wonder why.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing. You need to bring in experts. You need to bring in people that enrich your business to be able to diversify the revenue and take your business to the next level, quality-wise, and creating raving fans. That's all it's all about.
Fantastic. So how do people get in contact with you? How do they find your business?
Just if you type my name, I'll come up everywhere. Just Google Homestead Geelong. We have a website. We have two premises, one in Geelong West and one in Clifton Springs. Again, we believe in being local, so we want to be seen locally. We had a massive demand in the peninsula, the Bellarine Peninsula, and recently I purchased an office down there, and that all of a sudden, the Bellarine Peninsula started to grow again and attracting people. So that's all working really well. So 2 offices, website, Homestead Geelong.
Well, I'll give you some feedback on the Ocean Grove Barwon Heads community page, because I live in Ocean Grove. People put up, I've got an elderly mother, who can I get to help me? And your business turns up regularly. People going, I recommend Homestead Geelong. And it was quite funny because I would have normally just sort of read that, not thought about it, but I knew you were coming here to have a chat. And I thought that is really cool to see how many recommendations you were getting from people, unsolicited. It's just, this is where people are going, these are the people you need to talk to.
Well, Giovanni, you must be really proud. You and your wife must be really proud of what you have achieved so far. And I've been reading about you and hearing your story for the last 3 years or so now. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have you in here.
It has. Your passion and your vision is superb. It's not been an easy journey. So well done.
Thank you, Mark and Bill. It's been an honor to be here with you.
Good. No, it's been our honour to have you with us.
Thank
you.